Greetings, welcome to the RC Wall Vacuum channel. For today I'm going back to trying to finish installing this 47cc case reed OBR into the Rovan 450 XLT chassis. Last video I did, I was pretty much done with it, but there's just a couple details I got to work on it yet. And one was I had to install the kill switch. I got that in there. I got the full force fuel kit in there, but I got to make a little hold down for here to clamp the lines in place. Got to rebuild the shocks. I'm switching down to just a single servo on this, and I got the radio system installed. But the big issue I'm taking care of now is the throttle linkage. What was supplied with the engine was never going to work. So I'm starting with this setup here. So I'm starting out with a whole new setup. I've already built this thing in the lathe. It's 3mm on this side and 440 on this side. I got this Sullivan quick release ball joint linkage that I got on this side, and I'm working my way across on the bend, and then over here on the other side I'll have to fill in this space here. This Rovan servo arm has bearings in there, the pivot, so I'm going to build a standoff in there that's going to drop down in there, and we'll pivot on those bearings. It's going to go up and house the original Rovan linkage. So it's going to sit in kind of like this. That'll drop down in there, and it should be able to pivot on those bearings. So I got to go over to the lathe and start whipping that thing up, and then continue working the bend. So I got the throttle mechanism put in there now, and actually, surprisingly, the first go around, it's working pretty good. Like I said, I got that Sullivan Products ball joint in there. I made that part on the lathe, and then everything clears the choke. And I actually used 440 rod versus a 2mm that was originally on what came with the engine. I think that's the stock Losi style size. So the piece of the threaded rod, I got that from Sullivan Products as well, and that was like 10 inches long, and that, oddly enough, ended up being the perfect length. Over here, get this camera to focus. It's threaded off to here, and the thread stopped about in here, so I don't need any kind of blocking devices up here, no springs or nothing, because the spring over here will pull the throttle back. So I just got the double nuts on this side to set it, the pole, and I got this thing I made up in the lathe, and it's recessed down there, so it sits. There's a bearing on either side of this arm, so it's on these bearings, and managed to get that bend in there right the first time. I was going to originally do it with some stainless TIG wire to do the bends, to try to get it figured out first, but I just went ahead and used this first piece of rod, so it went in really well. And let me fire the thing up. So it's got good full range movement up there. Right now, I actually have the throttle backed off, the throttle travel backed off, since I don't have I haven't even fired up the engine yet, and it's going to be going through braking. I like to keep the throttle range backed off when I'm braking them in, so I don't accidentally go too far with the throttle. But once I've already tested, it does go full range. With this setup, it had to go almost to 95%. Most of my vehicles, I have the throttle set to like 45 or 50% travel, and that pulls the throttle through its full range without a problem. But this one, for whatever reason, it's got to go up to almost 100%, but I'm a little under. Right now I'm at 80, and that gets me probably 3/4 throttle, and then I'll just bump it up the rest of the way once I brake it in. I got the brakes set way back too. I don't like to have a lot of travel on them. So the next step is I gotta rebuild the shocks a little bit and finish tightening some stuff up, and I'm gonna hopefully get this thing started and give it a test run. Stick around. So it's all together now. Throttle's all hooked up. It's mostly tightened up. Pipe in there. Got some VP in there. So I'm gonna give it a test full and see if we can get anywhere with this thing. I gotta knock the microphone gain down on this camera before I try running this though. So FrankenTrac has come alive. I'm just going to run some heat cycles in here, and then I'm going to finish this video out with just that. And then next weekend, hopefully, I'm going to have some run footage on the new track, inaugural run footage on the new track with both this and with the Kraken. And anything, maybe dig out the Lozy, depending on what the weather's like. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.